Top story this week. Oh, for f***'s sake. Oh, God. What is happening to this world? I recorded the news quiz in Scarborough last week as Keir Starmer was meeting Donald Trump. So the day before Trump met Vladimir Zelensky in what I think was possibly the most alarming and depressing bilateral meeting between an American leader and another human being for at least, I'm going to say, 40,000 years, if not considerably longer. I don't want to go over the details too much because, frankly, I want to have at least a little glimmer of hope left in my soul by the end of this recording. But it does seem, Alice, that Vladimir Zelensky made the frankly schoolboy mistake of going into the meeting with Trump with what Trumpism experts have identified as, quotes, insufficient snivel, unabandoned principles, a naive and anachronistic hope that America still gives a flying about its allies and its responsibilities, and without having taken any obsequiousness enhancing steroids, as he was quite clearly advised. So, I mean, much of the blame really lies with him, would you not think?
It was an extraordinary spectacle watching a meeting between world leaders play out like a mafia mob boss shaking down a laundromat for 50% of their natural resources, with this sort of cascade of snivelling bureaucrats standing around in suits lobbing insults at him. I'm only glad that he has a history in comedy, so he knows how to deal with hecklers to some degree. I think my favourite bit was Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend being like, "Do you even own a suit?" As though every war leader in human history, including Queen Elizabeth, has not worn the uniform of their fighting men. And then Zelensky going, "Oh, should I buy a suit like yours?" Which I feel, that is worthy of RuPaul's Drag Race. Reading mini challenge. And then Vance, like JD Vance was coming in as this like weird emo hitman. He accused Zelensky of not thanking the American people enough for their support, to which Zelensky responded after the meeting by tweeting, "Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the visit. Thank you at POTUS Congress and the American people," which is the best version of malicious compliance I've seen for a while. I didn't know you could pack quite that much sarcasm into a single post, but he's achieved a density of post-Soviet, ironic Eastern European grand grimness that I can only envy. And, Zelensky, it's sort of terrible. It's insulting that he is insulted by Vance. Here's the real deal. He stayed in Kiev when the Russian forces were closing in and the city was under bombardment. Vance, by contrast, chose to move to a secure location when confronted with some hecklers on a skiing trip this weekend. And then President Trump said, "You're gambling with World War III." It's like them, but it had that real mafia mob boss overtone. "Oh, it'd be a shame if we started World War III over this. There's a very nice World War III you're avoiding over there. It'd be a shame if we World War III it all over your face." I keep seeing this talking point among sort of right-wing people and internet-pilled idiots that it's irresponsible of Zelensky to not capitulate to Russia and to keep defending the sovereignty of his country when an aggressive nuclear Russia is a threat to us all. So we should all just embolden Russia by doing exactly what they want. That's the only way to soothe a bully. Like, the theory is it's like when someone's trying to steal your wallet, you shouldn't fight them. You should just let them steal your wallet because it's not worth your life. Or when someone's trying to steal your house and murder you and torture your wife and children, you should let them steal your house and murder your wife and children because otherwise they might murder the guy next door too. Where's your civic conscience, mate?
I guess it's like the old famous old saying that we must, when you have a wolf threatening your village, you must feed the choicest sheep to the wolf, otherwise the wolf might eat the choicest sheep. So.
And then the other argument is, well, sure, they're evil, right? Russia's doing evil stuff, but they are also very powerful, which is good. Because if I remember my high school maths correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, might is equal to or greater than right. Or possibly that picture of an arrow between might and right indicates that might is sending a ballistic missile towards right. Either way, makes the same point.
Yes, it's interesting this, accusing Zelensky of gambling on World War III, and that is set to be one of the biggest betting markets of the year. And with our partners Bugle Bet, we can offer you the best odds on various World War III markets, including which perceived slight against the American president will actually start World War III, worth a punt on something about his hands or being scared of sharks, and the the percentage increase in the global value of the world poetry industry over the next 5 years, which is set to be quite impressive.
I mean, as far as gambling goes, they really are putting the Russian and 5 more bullets into Russian roulette.
J.D. Vance, you say he's not so much Trump's hype man as his gripe man, the side shit to the nuclear turd himself. It's still unconfirmed whether or not Vance is or is not an escaped laboratory experiment that began in a petri dish with some cells from the scrotum of Satan himself. Obviously, some people have jumped to conclusions, but we at the Bugle, of course, will wait until the science is absolutely conclusive.
I mean, it's all in the name, isn't it, right? J.D. Vance is the opposite of A.D. Vance, which is advanced. He's D-Vance.
Yes, I mean, in fact, the whirring of former American presidents, civil rights heroes and military service personnel spinning in their graves is now causing complete havoc with seismograph readings around the world. And particularly this claim that Zelensky has been insufficiently grateful to America. CNN's fact-checkers, who are currently working an estimated 430-hour working week, found at least 33 occasions on which Zelensky has publicly expressed gratitude to the USA, which seems like quite a lot. Seems like that's enough. Yeah, starts to sound... I think when you get to about the 35th thank you, it starts to sound sarcastic.
No, I feel like thank yous are like your partner telling you that they love you. It doesn't just stand as given. You have to do it at least once a week for upkeep. But all the other countries of the world obviously are panicking because it is a very clear signal that the USA will not stand by its allies, is only in it for the money, is potentially going hand in glove with Russia, palling up. I guess it's nice to see two superpowers getting along for once. But it is certainly Australia is panicking about our military budget. Hitherto, our military defence strategy has been wait till America arrives, and now it looks like they might not. Of course, Starmer has decided to beef up the military in the UK, pulling the money from the most obvious place, which is foreign aid, in anticipation, of course, of being enemies with everyone. Very much in the park an ambulance at the bottom of the cliff rather than put a fence made out of kindness at the top. park an ambulance made out of bombs at the bottom. Starmer
told so Zelensky from America came to London. There was sort of an emergency summit as Europe realised that yes, it is on its own in this fight without I think certainly so without a reliable America. Starmer told Zelensky he has the full backing of the United Kingdom. And he also said the West is at a crossroads in history. And at that crossroads, the traffic lights have been short-circuited, the road signs have been sold off for scrap, there are ball bearings, nails and porcupines all over the tarmac, there's a traffic cop standing in the middle, blowing a whistle and signalling everyone to go everywhere all at once, and a lot of people driving like absolute lunatics. So it doesn't entirely bode well that we're going to get across this crossroads.
No, and it is true, of course, that the world had gotten complacent about the idea that we were living in a time of peace, that America were being world police, that they did indeed take America for granted. And I am very used to that feeling as a mother. I'm often taken for granted, and my response, of course, is to periodically telling my children, 1 and 3 years old, that they're on their own.
They've got to learn.
You got to build a military budget for yourselves, kids.
Starmer said this is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, he said, acting. And I mean, that's the problem with the words time to act. That's a poor choice of words. Act can mean very, very, very different things. Zelensky has tried to mollify the situation a bit. He said of Trump, and we saw in that meeting Trump's serious face, which is sort of half death mask, half peanut. And he said, despite the tough dialogue, so Zelensky said, we remain strategic partners, but we need to be honest and direct with each other. And realistically, you are going to get a maximum of 1 out of 2 of those with Trump. Asking Trump to be honest is tantamount to asking a shark to be an Olympic standard 400-metre hurdler. It's just... it's not going to happen on so many levels. And it's also to say to truly understand our shared goals, which is basically equivalent to saying we are working together as the turkey to make the perfect Christmas dinner for everyone. Yes,
very much our shared goals as we're pregnant. One of the things that is really getting to me is that Starmer's choosing to fund the increase in the military budget with the depletion of the International Development Fund. Annalise Dobbs has stepped down as International Development Minister, being replaced by Jenny Chapman. It is truly extraordinary, the lengths that governments will go to reshuffle their budgets. The Delphic oracles they'll visit, the leeches they will allow medieval doctors to attach to their testicles in the hopes of getting money without ever sacrificing tax breaks for big businesses. The terrible fear of driving big businesses offshore, of course, the fear that you'll gut your country of innovation, employment, the incredible benefits of proximity to massive multi-billion-dollar multinationals. I do understand, but, it would be nice if they paid more tax than me.
Well, I mean, it all sort of comes down to this philosophy of aid, and we've seen Trump basically demanding a refund on the aid that's given to Ukraine in his transactional and frankly harrowing view of the world. But I guess whether you view foreign aid as some people say, a luxury we can no longer afford, or a valuable investment in an uncertain, changing world, or a barely discernible pinprick in our national budget, or a moral obligation, or one of the most effective means of exercising the so-called soft power people keep banging on about, or indeed as all of those things, it's always like to be the first injured baby wildebeest cut off from the herb to be popped into the maw of the always peckish lion of budget cuts. It's just it's always the first to go. Starmer's meeting with Trump, he began by unveiling an invitation from the King for Trump to have a state visit to the United Kingdom. I mean, just massaging that nuclear level ego. But I mean, people said it was sort of grovelingly obsequious, but I mean, was it possibly a bit of a power move? Because it's King Charles III, Alice. The last time we had the third king, that was George III. That's when America threw its toys out the pram and threw our tea into the sea. Revenge is a dish best served 250 odd years later. Also, it was signed, yours most sincerely, Charles R, for Rex, meaning King. Trump obviously then had to send an aide scurrying to a dictionary to look up what the word sincerely meant. Although I'm slightly worried that he thinks the use of the word yours means that Trump does now own King Charles and can turn him into a golf course. But what we don't know is exactly what happened in private in these. And there was all this talk about how you need to deal with Trump. There are kind of rather bizarre spectacle of news pundits earnestly discussing how to deal with the president of America as if he's some kind of cross between a potentially lethal zoo animal, an alien who could destroy the world, and an overindulged toddler. And the DNA tests suggest he's all three of those things to at least 100% degree. So I don't know what you're supposed to do. I can never remember with Trump. Are you supposed to stand still and make yourself tall, or run in a zigzag, or climb a tree? I can never remember which one it is.
And of course there's this massive backlash against the Democrats because they had every opportunity to clean house and they failed to clean house when people were voting for a cleaned up house. And so instead of cleaning the house, it was much like those episodes of Hoarders where they just bring people in with flamethrowers, and Elon Musk comes up on stage gesturing with a chainsaw and everyone's like, this is what we voted for.
Well, strange times. Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador to the United States, former government minister in previous Labour regimes, described Trump. This sort of shows how people have to couch their words. Described Donald Trump as consequential, which is an ambivalent way of putting it. Although looking at four of the letters, it's possibly in part an anagram, I guess the problem is, as watching on as a sort of news follower, it's become almost impossible to switch off from this. You say, "Oh, just ignore it," but it's quite hard to ignore a wasp at a picnic, or a piranha in a jacuzzi, as I recall from my stag do, or a non-house trained pet hippopotamus that has been suspended over the dining table from a special winch at Christmas dinner after being fed an adult hippo-sized portion of undercooked chicken vindaloo. It's just so hard not to let it just intermittently interrupt your thoughts. So what happened in private in the meeting with Stormy? Obviously, you've seen the sort of public side of it, but we had to run AI to guess what happened behind the scenes in our AI summit analyzer. So there was a 41% chance that Trump demanded ownership of Scotland and the right to turn Buckingham Palace into a casino and strip club, plus tickets to this year's World Snooker Final. There was a 38% chance that Trump made Starmer crouch on all fours and rode him around like a rodeo bull. There was a 0.04% chance that Trump said, "Ignore all the performative bastardry, I'm just a big softy underneath it all, come on, let's have a cuddle." There was a 49% chance that...
Charles can't cuddle. He's British aristocracy.
There was a 49% chance that Trump said to Starmer, look, Starmsy, if you ever find yourself needing to pay hush money to a porn star, just give me a shout. Player's going to play, special relationship and all that. And a 99% chance that Trump said, Zdravstvuyte, kamarad, the pigeon wakes before... Sorry, I thought you were someone else.
Well, I just think what he should have done is insist on Charles divorcing Camilla and marrying him instead so that he can be the Queen of England.
To be honest, I'd be in favour of that, just because of the lack of actual executive power that, that monarchs and their consorts have these days. J.D. Vance, amidst a trademark welter of half-truths, malinformative deceptions and outright bullshit, said to Zelensky, right now you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. And it did sound, with this comment about conscription and people being forced to join the military, that he was about to offer, on behalf of his President Trump, a consignment of free bone spurs for young Ukrainians to help get them out of fighting. But sadly, that's also still to be signed off. Well, we will have full exclusive coverage of the political world's descent into the 8th to 15th circles of hell over the next, 3 years, 10 and a half months on the Bugle.